So, day 16, 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks completed, and quite a lot of detox this time. Every time you do a juice feast, you'll have slightly different bodily responses, and been quite a lot of detox this time. But I should make it clear, the reason I'm doing a juice feast is because you can continue to do all of your everyday chores, your job, everything you would normally do, and do this healthy, follow this healthy program. If you wanted to go certain other protocols, for example water fasting, it's impossible to maintain your normal life whilst you're water fasting, because the detoxification is too intense and you become far too exhausted. So largely you need to stay in bed. That's why juice feasting is a great option, because it allows you to continue your life. If you've got kids, you can still look after your kids. If you're working 9 till 5, you can still work 9 till 5. Now, at the same time, don't get me wrong, you need to be committed if you're going to succeed on a long-term juice feast. And I do a long-term juice feast because I want a lot of health benefits. I want to clear up a lot of health issues. And if you do a short juice feast, if you just do a day or two, I mean, great, it's going to help do a little bit of a cleanse, but it's not going to change your life. The reason I'm doing a 100-day juice feast is because a 100-day juice feast will change your life. It will change your health radically. The reason I even got into this whole process at all is because ultimately I got to the point in my life where most days I didn't feel great. I had aches and pains here. I've mentioned a few of the other issues I had. I didn't have much energy. I was often tired, a bit down, a bit grumpy. You know, the future didn't look bright. I felt as though I was clogged up and irritated a lot. And over the last decade that I've been slowly bringing in more and more raw fruits and vegetables, all of those issues have disappeared. And when I stay on course and stay on track and eat just my raw fruits and vegetables, all of those issues are gone. Like I mentioned earlier, if I slip back to eating you know, fish and hamburgers, even a healthy standard American diet, all the health issues creep back in, and the energy goes down, the aches and pains come back. So that's why I'm being very clear here. If you want to make a radical change to your health, you need to do a longer term juice feast. So that's why I'm doing 100 days. And it's been a little challenging recently, actually, but I can still continue doing everything that I would normally do. But I've had some periods where I've been very tired, extremely exhausted. But you know what, even when you're not doing a juice feast, most people who live an active lifestyle, maybe have kids, have a regular job, and doing all the things that people do these days, you're going to have times then when you're going to be exhausted. So the point I'm making is, even before I've done many juice feasts before, and water fasts before, and even before I came to doing this juice feast, my brain was giving me 100 reasons why this was not a good time to be doing a juice feast. So what I'm saying is that there will always be 100 excuses as to why it's not a good time to improve your health, why it's not a good time to change your diet. But at the end of the day, you've just got to get on and do it. You've got to. I reached the point where I was sick and tired. You've heard this before. Sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I decided I needed to make changes, radical changes. And as a result, it's worked. My health is infinitely better than it ever was, or than it was 10 years ago. This has been a challenge, this one. Lots of elimination, lots of bowel movements, and lots of upset tummy. Lots, I've mentioned this before, lots of insomnia. For example, just as a little example, last night I went to bed at 9 o'clock in the evening. I like to go to bed early and get up early. I like to get up at about 5 o'clock because I take the dogs walking at 5:30 before anyone else is up and around, because with 5 dogs off leash, it's nice to have the place to yourself, so you don't have any dog fighting or people biting or anything like that. So we go nice and early. So I go to bed at 9. Well, I went to bed at 9 last night and woke up at about 12:30. Couldn't sleep, and got up at 5, went to the beach, took the dogs walking and carried on, but on 3.5 hours sleep it's not ideal. So there are challenges to a long-term juice feast. I'm not saying that you're not going to have any challenges. You will have significant challenges en route, but they shouldn't be so challenging that you can't still continue, with grit your teeth and get on with it, you can still continue your normal lifestyle. So, yes, does a juice feast totally disrupt your life? No. Should you not do a long-term juice feast because you've got too much going on in your life right now? I would suggest no. I mean, obviously, intelligently, pick an intelligent time. Don't do it when you've got literally 6 other projects on the go. But when there is a moment in your schedule where you feel this is where I could make the changes and start going in a healthier direction, perhaps change my diet, perhaps do a juice feast, whatever it is that you want to do, get it in your calendar, write it down and do it, because there'll never be a perfect time to do it. This particular juice feast, it just didn't, in my mind, it wasn't the right time. But hey, in the end, I just got on and did it, and it's working out fine. So yeah, normally, it all depends on how toxic you are, how overweight you are, how underweight you are, what health issues you have. But I love to get the first 3 weeks done, because after 3 weeks, generally speaking, the upset tummy and the other bits and pieces going, the insomnia, they subside, and then you start to get more energy and more strength as you continue. So I'll be pleased when I've got another week out of the way, basically. But it hasn't been that challenging. You know, it's a challenge. You've got to be committed. You've got to be focused. You've got to know what you're doing, and you've got to get on and do it. But the dogs have all raced off down the road. All 5 of them raced off down the road after something. I always have to keep my ears and eyes open. After 3 weeks, normally you can expect to get stronger and more energy as the weeks pass. But in the first 2 or 3 weeks, it can be quite a challenge. That's why when people say, oh yes, I think I might do 2 days juicing. Well, I don't want to discourage you. Great, it's going to be very healthy and very beneficial to you. But it's not going to change your fundamental health situation, because it's not long enough. If you've been eating a standard American diet for 10, 20, 30 or 40 years, you have health issues which are going to take time to heal, and so by all means do 2-day juice feasts, 3-day juice feasts, 1-day juice feasts, but ultimately you want to be looking at doing this as preparatory work prior to going on to a long-term juice feast, which is where you're going to get the real health benefits. John Rose is an American from, I believe, Austin, Texas, who is probably the world's leading expert on juice feasting, I would suggest. And you can go onto his YouTube channel, johnrose.com, and he has many videos on there all about juicing. And he would suggest, I'm pretty certain that he said in one of his videos, you know, excuse me if it's not exactly correct, but he says something along the lines of a 90-day juice feast will resolve the vast majority of your health issues, certainly the chronic ones. Now, of course, if you allow your health to get completely out of hand, out of control, and you go to a point where you have issues, some issues are unresolvable. If you lose blood flow in certain arteries, those arteries close down, you can't reopen them, and if you're born with some form of genetic disorder, fruits and vegetables are not going to be able to cure you. But if you have the generic chronic diseases, which so many people in this world... Tippy! Tippy! So all of the chronic health issues that so many people have now, I mean, like I say, I'm almost 50. Lots of my friends and colleagues now are starting to go on statins to lower their blood pressure, are starting to get issues related to blood sugar problems, are starting to get, you know, arthritis in knees and other joints, and, you know, it's rife. Everybody's... Now, some people would say, well, that's just because you're getting older, but that's not the case. If you actually do the research yourself, you can find that these chronic illnesses are curable, or at least you can reduce the extent of them massively, by 90%, most of the time 100%. And when we're talking about chronic diseases, we're talking about things like arthritis, type 2 diabetes, heart disease. Most of those will go away over the course of a 90-day, or I'm doing a 100-day juice feast. Those chronic issues will go away in the vast majority of cases. So this is like a remarkable thing. But just be aware that juice feasting is not the answer. It's not going to solve all of your health issues. It will solve, likely, the vast majority of them during the period that you do the juice feast. But now comes the real issue. Now comes the real hard work. Now you've got to go back and eat, because you can't live on juice all your life. So now you've got to eat. What are you going to eat? And this is where the juice feast can't help you. Juice feast can get you into a fabulous state of health over a period of 3 months, but it can't maintain you in a fantastic state of health for the rest of your life. The diet that you follow after the juice feast is the key to everything. So I'm discussing here a juice feast. It's an amazing cleanser of the body, a healer of the body, but ultimately, long term, your day-to-day diet, what you eat on a day-to-day basis, is going to determine your health over the course of the rest of your life, over the ensuing decades. And in my opinion, there are only 2 diets which I could, and I've tried them all, which will, in terms of health, physical health, there's only 2 diets which make any sense at all. The number 1 diet is raw fruits and vegetables, our natural foods. That is what we thrive upon. But it's very difficult to do. Most people have a mental block against it in the first place, because they're so attached to the food they eat currently. Most people, when they make the transition, assuming they do, can't sustain it. Hence the juice feast, because it makes the transition infinitely easier. If you do a 100-day juice feast, the chances of you sticking to a raw food diet, I believe, are significantly higher than if you just skip the juice feast phase and go straight from sad diet into raw fruits and vegetables. That's very difficult to do. Some people succeed, but a tiny percentage. The other diet, which I transitioned from, which is a fabulous diet, but it won't give you the same health benefits as raw fruits and vegetables, is a diet based on plants, a vegan diet. No meat, no dairy, no chicken, no beef, no sausages, no eggs, no bacon, no dairy, no milk, no cheese, no cream. A vegan diet of plant foods, and also low fat, no added oils, avoiding refined foods as far as you possibly can. And based upon, you want to base that vegan diet, in my experience, you want to base it upon a starchy food, because that will fill you up, that will make you feel great, that will give you the carbohydrates, the energy that you need to get on with your busy life. And I would suggest the starches that what worked best for me were the root vegetables. So sweet potatoes and potatoes worked best on my body. Not very, very tasty and work great with my body, so you can have sweet potatoes with some baked beans and a large salad. I mean, that's just like, you know, I'm not a cook. That just gives you a little bit of an example. So instead of, you know, your steak, your French fries and your salad, you're having your sweet potato, your baked beans and your large salad. And that's how it works. And you can get to a very high level of health on a cooked, low-fat vegan diet, but it won't get you anywhere near the health level that you can reach on a raw fruits and vegetables diet. So anyway, that was my day 16 update. Everything going well. Quite a lot of detox, quite heavy going, but you know, fine, manageable. And I'm looking forward to getting through the next week, where hopefully I'll start to feel better and better and stronger every day. But I feel great now. Anyway, nice speaking to you, and I look forward to speaking to you on day 22.